We are live, possibly.
Possibly. Yeah, this is
At
this is
exactly
this is
7:30. How impressive is that?
okay. So it's telling me we're live, so that's
We are.
good. I appreciate that. So it takes So
We are.
isn't it interesting? It takes 10 seconds longer for New Zealand.
Do you know that's? Do you know what? That's one of the funny things. I was watching Johnny Bean the other night, and
Yes.
I don't know. They were having somebody wanted something moderated, and Dave Nestor was saying, I haven't seen this. Where's that? And I've noticed that if you, because I'm a moderator on Guitar Hacks channel, and
Yes.
sometimes something will happen, and you go, well, I didn't even see that. It hasn't even appeared. And of course, because I'm on the side of the Atlantic, it hasn't arrived. That 10 seconds,
Yes.
is as the lap gone, and Terry's nailed it, of course. But Terry's nailed it, and it's gone, and you're going, well, I didn't even see that. Never mind to be able to deal with it. It's weird.
Yeah. So have we got anybody in the chat here hanging out with us? We got
We've got
Quentin.
Quentin.
You're not live. Swear.
Hack.
He
Quentin,
caught me.
wrong one. Neither him or me are hack. We're both hacks, but not the mighty guitar hack himself.
I think a couple of weeks ago he got me when we were swearing when Carl had some issues.
Yes, it did. Yes.
Okay,
like
so
technology for making you swear, is it?
So Quentin, I saw you today on the Ben Coombs show. You were on there early on for a couple of hours. That was a bit of a marathon show. I think it ended up at 4.5 hours.
And Quentin's still up.
Yeah, you're still up. We're all hacks. Yep, well, that's right.
Yeah, that's true.
No argument. No argument.
I think, Quentin, you're less of a hack than I am by some distance. I've seen you play.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yes, Sylvester and I.
Yes.
So, we didn't let anybody know last week what the topic of the show for today, this evening, is. So Simon and I got our heads together, and I have to admit, early on, I didn't like the idea of lists, but we agreed when we were doing the Stones show that one of the great things about lists is that it gives you an opportunity to have a conversation. You may not agree with the list, but it gives you an opportunity to talk about what's on the list or what's not on the list. So this is a fluid list, I suppose. I think it probably would change for me as the shows progress, but I've got 10 songs that I'm going to talk about. Simon hopefully has 10 songs. And we're going to see if there's any similarities. Whether or not we've hit the nail on the head and picked the same songs. So
I'll pick the ones I like. But so can we just say good morning to Wednesday Store?
Yeah, I know who Wednesday Store is. He's our guy over in Sheffield that wants to form the tribute Stones band.
Oh, Dave.
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, hi, Dave. How you doing? Quentin, I'm from England. I live near a city called Bristol. And Fender Guru is from New Zealand. Hamilton, I do believe.
I'm from Kentucky. That's right. You were talking about the derbies.
Yeah.
You haven't been going out for the whole week because there's horses everywhere.
Yeah. I love it. Do you see he posted a picture of some guy saying, and the winner of the Kentucky Derby is...
Yeah.
I seem to be having some trouble with that.
So, Simon, do you want to kick off with a couple of songs, your first two songs, and have a bit of a chat about them?
In the grand tradition, there's on the UK. There's a film review show on Friday afternoons on national radio in the UK, and they do the top 10 movies, yeah.
Yep.
And then they'll say, Right, the top 10 movies, straight in at number 24, and then, so in the grand traditions, straight in at number 14. Yes, the first one I wrote down was After Midnight, which is obviously JJ Cale, which I've come across JJ Cale in the late 70s and bought it, and I love that song, and I love Clapton's version of it as well, and I've seen him do it. You know, there's lots of live versions with the couple with JJ Cale stuff. So that's my number one song that I wrote down. And these aren't in order, by the way. It's not. I just wrote them down. And the next one was Further On Up the Road, done particularly at the Last Waltz. I've known that for a long, long time. And from Just One Night, I went to see Clapton in '81 in Bristol, and you know, that is one of the standout tracks, and so I love it as well. It's a great song, great solos, everything. What about you? What are your first couple?
Is there a particular version of After Midnight that you like? Because there's a few versions, or is it just that whole song?
It's just the song, I think. You know, the vibe and that kind of relax, kind of. I mean, as I say, I like, you know, I've got a couple of JJ Cale I've got naturally, and which I think is a great. You know, I love that kind of laid back kind of blues. You know, very laid back in JJ Cale's case.
Yeah, I didn't like the original version that he did. When I say original, I think the
one on, was it on 40
came out on his first album, Eric Clapton.
Yeah, Eric Clapton. Yeah.
When I heard that, I wasn't sort of. It didn't like sound like a standout to me until I heard a couple of live versions of it, and I thought, oh, this is pretty good. And then you go back and listen to that album, and then you do a bit of research into the context of that album, how he's doing a direct opposition to what he did in Cream.
Yeah, absolutely. You get the idea, don't you? Yeah.
Then the picture starts to become a little bit more clear and focused. But Further On Up the Road's a great thing. That DVD, if you guys catch it, when he's singing that, he hasn't got his guitar strap hooked on his strap very well, and so he's playing in the solo, and his guitar comes off. And
does the old drop?
Yeah, and he quickly puts it back on, and it's just a seamless. And yeah, if you catch it, it's like wow. But yeah, very very good.
Yeah. If you don't catch it, it's terrible.
Yeah. Interesting that you've picked After Midnight, because the number one song that I've got on my list, and again I'm a little bit like you, it's in no particular order, is the version of Crossroads of Wheels of Fire. I remember being a young guy hearing that, thinking, oh my gosh. And what's interesting about that album, or that song in particular, and you and I both watched the Johnny Bean show, and a lot of guys talk about how Eruption became the song for a lot of guitar players for a long time. Yeah. I didn't realize this, but the solo in Crossroads was like the guitar solo for a lot of guys for a long time.
The Holy Grail. Yeah. I think yes, the previous generation of them. Yeah, interestingly, I've got Crossroads on my list as well. Of course, you know, it's difficult picking out, isn't it? The ones, you know, you think, oh, shall I have that version? That? But
is it that version?
I didn't pick out a particular version, to be honest. I think I just. You know, I've always liked the song. It's a great song, you know, Robert Johnson song and stuff.
And the good thing about that song is that a guy like me, who's a hack, you can jam along to that song. Because it's an A.
Yeah. Well, it don't matter, was it? And that's interesting, isn't it? That thing about you put on. I mean, I'm the same. You know, when I was going through, I was listening to lots of stuff and kind of mucking about. You know, and little things you learn, don't you? Like I learned, only because I haven't, not because I couldn't, but you know, learned how to play "I Shot the Sheriff." You you know, and just and always just going, just jamming along with it, yeah, and then doing, you know, and yes, absolutely, that being able to do a solo and go, oh, blues in A. I know some notes to play for this. That'll be cool.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
you know, but I think it's completely, you know, I completely agree with you about that. That's one of the interesting things, isn't it? You and I, as you know, ordinary hack guitar players, can play along to it.
yeah,
You know, and I've sort of expanded this kind of theory, you know, a bit in the past. You know, that I think that in some way it's important for, you know, when you're starting out to have songs you can play. You know, I'm older, but so, you know, very much learning guitar in the early 70s. You know, but I can imagine if I was a young guitar player, age 14, you know, and I saw Eddie Van Halen playing Eruption, I might put the guitar away and never look at it again. You know, because that's a long way up the skill scale, isn't it? You know, I mean, that's a hell of, you know, all that technique is a long way up. You know, and you think to yourself, well, have I got to do a hell of a lot of practice and a hell of a lot of, you know, working out what in God's name he's doing, especially in 1978. You know, not YouTube or anything like that. That you know, I could see that in a way putting people off because you know you think, God, I don't even know where to begin with that. Whereas, as you say, with Clapton, you know, A, yes, I can begin with A. That's not a bad idea.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that's a really good point actually. That you can jam along to them,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and start playing little licks and start yeah, and they seem attainable, don't they? Attainable as a it's not as a great guitar player. And I
yeah.
think that's good point. Yeah.
The
Yeah,
second
but
song that I've got, Simon, um, is "Pretending" off the Journeyman album.
ah,
And I have a soft spot for that album because that was an album that came out when I was in my early 20s. So that was, to use the cliche, an album that was a soundtrack to my life for a few years.
oh, cool. Okay, yeah,
But what really got me about that song, you know, it's a catchy pop song, which is great,
yeah.
but it was the tone. It wasn't Eric Clapton's tone. You know, we found out later on what it was. You know, he's using high gain Soldano amps. But if you listen
Right.
to a lot of the songs on that album, it's not Clapton. You know, it's a tone that was completely different of everything else that came before it. So, yeah, a revolutionary song.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. It's yes, I always like songs that have a special connection. You know, whatever they are, it doesn't matter what they are. You know, but you know, so if you have a special connection to you in growing up or whatever it is, you know, I think that's really cool myself, and you know, it's
And Clapton
worth.
was a pop star. What, for the
Yeah.
second period in his
Yeah.
life.
Was that's the Phil Collins produced song at Journeyman, isn't it? That's his Phil Collins his Phil Collins period.
I don't think, no.
Is it Phil? Was that later?
I think Phil Collins did the black and white album before that, Behind the Sun.
Uh,
I think it was
right.
I think it was another guy that produced that album, but I think Phil played drums on a couple of tracks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, I'm just having a look. Journeyman. Mm. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, yeah. See how the mind plays tricks on you. Oh no, let's have a look. Oh yes, yeah. Uh, let's have a look. Russ
Russ
Tittleman.
Tuttleman.
Tittleman, yeah, Russ Tittleman. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so yeah, Phil Collins does play on some, doesn't he? But George Harrison as well. Yeah, he plays drums on track three.
And who was the black guy that was pretty hot?
Nathan East.
No,
He's a bass player.
the guitar player.
Oh, blimey, there's quite a lot of guys. Was Robert Cray.
Robert Cray.
Robert Cray's on it. Yeah, a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they wrote a song
Yeah.
together. So yeah, pretty cool album. There's
Yeah.
one song that doesn't need to be on that album, though, Simon, and that's the Elvis Presley cover that he does. It's horrible.
Is it?
All Shook Up or something like that.
Hound Dog.
Hound Dog. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Skip it.
Does he make a dog's breakfast of Hound Dog? Does he? Oh dear. Yeah,
well,
that's interesting. Yeah.
You and I said right from the start that we were going to be honest with our opinions.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there loves Hound Dog, that's okay. I don't mean to offend you.
But it's funny that is that you don't associate. I don't associate Eric Clapton with rock and roll.
Oh, it's horrible. So don't. You
know what I mean? But that's interesting, isn't it? That completely with the blues, but I don't. I mean, obviously it's Hound Dog, but he doesn't seem to have any. Has he got any history of playing rock and roll songs? I can't think that he has. Does he?
No, because he's not like George Harrison, who were those guys were and rock and roll inspired. He was he's the blues man.
Blues man, completely, and kind of, but blues man, but not crossing over into that rock and roll thing at all. I can't remember seeing anything about people like, particularly about Chuck Berry and stuff like that. I mean, I see none of Chuck Berry in his playing or anything like that. So, that's interesting. No,
and if you have a look at that album or that DVD that Keith Richards and him did together with Chuck Berry, what was it? Like his 50th birthday or something like that? Do you remember? In the late 80s?
Is it the one where Chuck Berry hits Keith Richards or something?
Ground.
What's it called? The King of Rock and Roll. Hail Rock and Roll. Yeah. Is it? Is Clapton on that? Is he?
Yes.
I mean, I've not seen it for years. Bloody hell! Really? What? Yeah, that's interesting.
He's playing this big Gibson Birdland. That's yeah. The only thing that's good about that DVD is Keith Richards and
Chuck. Chuck, as indeed Chuck. Yeah. It's fantastic.
You don't watch that if you're a Clapton fan.
No. But so what is it? What does he do in it? Does he play? Does he just play rhythm guitar in it or something?
Yeah.
Because I don't see him as. Does he not play? I presume he doesn't play much lead.
No.
If Chuck's there, stop that lead playing now.
Shut up.
Shut up. It's my song. I wrote it. Okay, it's all about me.
But
that's funny.
Skip that, Simon.
I skip that. I wouldn't skip that. I have seen some clips of it. I don't remember. I've seen some very funny clips of Keith Richards obviously having to wind his neck in as Chuck.
It's fantastic. Keith is playing it like this, and he goes, "Hold on." It's like this. You don't go up. It's up, and then you let it down. And Keith's looking at him, going,
"It bloody isn't." You see, even when I'm wrong, I'm right.
It's Chuck Berry.
It's like that. It's a bit like that Dave Edmunds story I sent you.
Yeah.
Story. I'm not repeating on here, but well, that's funny, isn't it? That's God. Did it make you laugh?
Yeah. What's your next couple of songs, mate?
Beautifully told by Nick Lowe. The third one is Cocaine. JJK. Again, I'm a JJK. I love Clapton's version of it as well, and I like the fact that it's a kind of subtle anti-cocaine song in a funny sort of way, and I like the fact he didn't play it for a long time because he didn't think he could get away with it. But I love that song. I love JJ Cale's version of it. I love Clapton's version of it as well. I really like that kind of relaxed, kind of laid back thing. I think it really has its place. It can't all be full on.
And the good thing about that song, though, Simon, is it's easy to play.
Indeed, yeah. Have you noticed? There's a theme in the songs I've picked. They're all easy to play. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But the great thing about that song, though, And sorry for chipping in because I
No,
love
it's
that
fine.
song.
Chip in. Yeah, yeah,
I haven't picked that song though, but it's just that the way that he just plays those notes on
yeah.
all the versions, whether it's the slower version or the rock version that that he
Yeah,
does live now, which is a crowd favorite. It's awesome.
yeah, 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 yeah. I completely guess. So aside from my let's pick the songs you can play is yes, well, I do love it song, and I think it's you know it's one of those songs that I think it's one of those songs, isn't it, that kind of gave another musician a bit of a sort of income and a bit of a because obviously Clapton recorded it, and I'm After Midnight too, but and obviously JJ Cale got some income off it and was able to have a bit of a career off the back of it in a
What
way.
do you think of JJ's version of the song? Do you like it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a case of saying that all JJ Cale songs sound the same, chugga 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 chugga, But I think no, no, hey, I've only got one trick, but it's a bloody good one. It's that kind of very low bang, kind of. I love that. I love that beat, and I love that kind of speed, and I love the. Just the sort of general vibe, whether it's Clapton or whether it's it's a great song.
It's
As
hard
you
to
say.
play. That style is very hard, and it's a little bit like reggae, like you mentioned. I Shot the Sheriff. I can't
Yes,
play that, Simon.
I
I
can't play
can't
reggae either.
I can't play it. It's too hard.
No, that's right. And there's something weird about the kind of that kind of was it on the second beat or the
Yeah.
no, but they completely flummoxed me. Frankly, used to be a joke in my old band that we couldn't play reggae because I didn't understand how reggae works.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
listened
yeah,
to lots of
yeah.
it, but I still don't get. I can't play it.
Yeah,
It's annoying.
I'm always, oh, yeah, yeah. I'm too fast for it. So, but I appreciate
Yeah, or
it.
something. You're not laid back enough. You've got to be laid back to play reggae. Good morning, Jay the Fox. How you doing?
Jay the Foxes.
Thanks for joining.
Uh,
For Jay the Fox,
I
yes.
haven't seen Jane the Fox in the chat, so
No,
appreciate you
me neither.
jumping
No,
in.
no, no. That's cool. Yeah, so that's my third song, and I love Cocaine, and I think that's it's a good song, and I'm glad he still does it because he does great. He's made it pretty much his own song.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Kind
yeah,
of.
yeah.
I think that's really good. The fourth one I chose was just because I like it. Bell Bottom Blues. I love Bell Bottom Blues. Whenever we hear it, it's just one of my favourite songs. I don't think it's a particularly great song or anything like that. I just like it as a song. I like the melody, like the singing. I think it's pretty impassioned singing on it, and yeah, it's funny that people don't talk about Clapton singing, but I think he's a really good singer. You know that sort of song. He can bring that song to life by singing it. With a bit of verve and a bit of passion and a bit of that's I find that interesting.
I
Do,
I love that whole album, Simon. So
Down from the Dominoes is a great record, of course. Yes, yes,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you're not going to get any arguments from me. But what I particularly liked about Clapton's biography is that he revealed and you may have known this beforehand, but I wasn't privy to this information until I read it in Clapton's book, where he was friends with George's wife. What's her name?
Patty,
Where
Patty
Patty.
Boyd.
Yeah, he was friends with Patty, and he was going to the States on a tour at the time, and she asked him if he could bring her back some bell bottom
Bell
jeans,
bottom jeans, yes.
and he said yeah. So and then he takes that,
And makes a song
writes
out
a
of it.
song, and
Yeah,
it
yeah,
only means anything to who? Patty Boyd.
yeah. One of quite a few songs he wrote about her, but kind of thing. Yeah, well, yeah, that's fun. I like that sort of makes me laugh. As a kind of which is why I say I'm not suggesting it's not a reasonably slight song, but actually I think he plays it really well. He sings it really well, and gives it something that maybe it wouldn't given those sort of origins, that maybe it wouldn't. Yes, Wednesday. So I've not seen. I don't know whether I've seen Life in 12. I don't think. Maybe it was on the BBC. Maybe I have seen it.
It's
But it's very
mandatory,
good. So.
Dave. It's available on iTunes as a download if you don't have it. But yeah, it's phenomenal, and it's good to see a lot of these documentaries coming through now that are telling the truth. You know, they talk very clearly about some of the things that Eric did and said during the 70s that pissed a few people off. And in this politically correct world, it's probably going to upset a few silly people.
Yes, that yes. I mean, I think maybe that is. I think there's just a lot of drink and drugs involved in that.
Yeah,
frankly.
yeah.
But,
when you're off your face, you're going to say some weird things, aren't you?
Yeah. Sadly, you do. Yeah, actually, not off your face.
But no, it's mandatory. It's great. It gives you a good insight into Clapton without having to go through some of the books. And the music is awesome. It's good.
I was last night. I was watching a similar thing, a Ginger Baker one.
I haven't seen that one. I bought it a copy.
Mr. Baker.
Yes.
Mr. Baker. Yeah.
What's it like?
Oh, it's excellent. I mean, because in many ways he's such a forthright character.
Oh,
Ginger,
he's going to tell you.
So he's just, I told you this when we got me and my nephew got trolled by his daughter who does his social media. Because we made there was something about him on Facebook, and we made a comment about it. Unfortunately, not rude, but the old curmudgeon. We didn't say the old curmudgeon, but and she kind of said we're here, kind of trolled us on it, which I thought we thought was really great. It's like, yes, look at that, we're being trolled by Ginger Baker's daughter.
Simon, can you just give me a couple of seconds? Is that okay?
Of course, yeah. Yeah, so if you get a chance to see Mr. Baker, give it a watch. It's very funny. One of the great bits is he's driving in America. He says he's got two girls in a car, and they're driving with the radio on, and the radio announces that Ginger Baker's been found dead in a hotel room.
I can't wait to watch that, mate. I should get that within the next couple of weeks, so I look forward to reporting back to you on that.
Yeah. No, well, it's funny because he's he has fire, doesn't he, Mr. Baker? He's like him and Jack Bruce. I mean, God, imagine being in a band with them. It's a complete nightmare, of them being in the middle. Poor old Clapton in the middle of Baker and Bruce having endless arguments and fights and whatever. Must have been bloody hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great drummer. But, I'm not sure I'd want to be in a band with Ginger Baker for too long. How about bloody hard work? What's that whole thing about? That being in a band somehow brings out the worst in people, or the truest in people. I don't know if you've been in bands much, but I noticed being in bands that people do things in bands that they wouldn't do anywhere else. They have attitudes and things they do, and you think you wouldn't do that at work, and you wouldn't do that, in real life, and yet you feel as though you can get away with it in a band. I find that very odd.
I've had situations again, so I'm not saying that I'm anything like Eric Clapton, but I've been in a situation where the bass player of this band that we were involved in and the drummer were friendly enough, but when they got together, when we were gigging and rehearsing, they were always arguing because one wanted to be the leader, one wanted to set the beat.
Yeah. And then they couldn't agree who it was going to be. So when you were in that situation, when you're relying on it, and So that's a little bit of my experience of being with guys that
were okay beforehand,
Yeah,
but during
that's right.
and that band only lasted for about 6 months.
20 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've had similar experiences, that of just very strange, and you think you wouldn't do that anywhere else. Why are you doing it now? You know, because somehow in a band your true self can come out, and that's not necessarily a great thing. Instead of understanding it's a band, we all have to go somewhere together.
Yeah, Carl had a similar experience too. He was telling me when he was in the States, they had a band going and they were trying to get something going, and they were pretty good. I've heard some of the clips, but the drummer
Yeah,
always wanted to play loud, and the band would say, "Look, man, you gotta bring the volume down," but he would just take that personally. So it
yeah,
just became, to use Carl's word, toxic.
yeah. That's right. Yeah. Can you anywhere else? It's like, please, can you not play so loud? Would be like, that's fine, wouldn't it? And yet somehow let loose in a band situation. There's, that kind of like, can you play a bit quieter? No, I bloody can't. It's kind of, kind
I
of
just
thing.
want to do a shout out to Gussie,
Yeah.
Simon,
Good
because
morning, Gussie. How you doing?
Gussie's always a keen contributor to anything we do online, so that's pretty cool.
Mm, mm.
So
Nice to see.
have you got another song?
So, well, I've done two more. So, what about yours?
Oh,
You've got two more? It's your turn.
okay. Okay. I couldn't compile an Eric Clapton list without
Without?
"Sunshine of Your Love."
I should hope not.
Yeah.
Which I've got on my list as well. I've got
Yeah.
Sunshine of Your Love on my list too, of course.
In all forms, on their first album, Disraeli Gears, the live versions, and anything that he's done in his solo career. I just I love it. I do have a very, very fond liking of the version he did on One More Car. Well, One More Car, One More Rider, where he's using Simon, he's using Marshall amps, so he's got a lot of gain going there, but it's not really loud, and he's got this beautiful introduction. It's just awesome.
Right, and he's playing what? The Strat.
The Strat.
The Strat, but cranked through a Marshalls rather than a Fender amps. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
And what I also like about that song is, again, I suppose we have to read or watch something for us to put a lot of stuff into perspective. But that DVD that came out a few years ago, where they're talking about the making of Disraeli Gears, and one of the guys from Rolling Stone and one of the senior reporters is talking about how you guys have to remember, "Sunshine of Your Love" was a pop song. It was played on FM radios in between the Supremes, and people loved it.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, but yes, and it's become a classic, and it's one of those things that, it's one of those songs where you get fined, don't you, for playing them in music shops.
You know what? That's one
Stairway,
song that
Stairway to Heaven.
I always play that riff.
Well done, and hope somebody comes up and finds you for it. It does.
I put my hand up.
And here's Gussie, Felix Pappalardi. Yes, the bass player from Mountain.
Yep.
I do believe. But yeah, I can remember that. Do you remember going to Gus at least have a list of, you will be fined if you play these Smoke on the Water and stuff?
Stairway to Heaven and
Sunshine of Your Love. I'm sure it was on it. Yes, absolutely. I can't remember, but but I know what you mean. There's a certain amount of you that wants to go in and just play it, don't you? Go, here's your fine. I'm going to play it.
I love it. And the lyrics, obviously, and when you take into account who's that guy, the lyricist, Peter Brown.
Pete Brown, yeah.
And how strange he was, and how he was like a real poet,
He had he had a band called Pete Brown's Battered Ornaments.
Mm.
But yeah, obviously contributed quite a lot to those. A lot of those things. Of course, and Sunshine of Your Love, of course, is a bass riff, isn't it? It's not actually a guitar riff.
It's
That
beautiful.
do 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 do. That's actually a bass riff.
Yep.
You know, it's a Jack Bruce thing rather than Eric Clapton. Although we all transpose it to guitar and nobody finds.
Yeah. No, I I love that song. I suppose if there's going to be a top 3 Eric Clapton list of songs, Layla would be on that list, and Sunshine of Your Love.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. Well, I guess what else? Well, I don't know whether you have any Cream. White Room, Badge.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. Take your pick, really. Yeah. But I agree with you, certainly Layla and Sunshine of Your Love. And let's be fair, if you've written 2 songs that kind of transcend, the sort of the genre they put into, you're doing pretty well, aren't you?
The other song that I've got, Simon, is Stormy Monday, which I love, and it's the version that came out on their 2005 DVD and record. The guitar playing, and again, what we have to remember is that's a 3-piece we're listening to. That's
a
drummer, a bass player, and a guitar player, and that the intro and the solo is just phenomenal.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. It's a great song. Of course, a classic blues song, isn't it?
Yeah. And what's really interesting about that whole thing, I don't know, did we talk about it last week? I can't remember, but they apparently rehearsed with Clapton using a Les Paul and some Marshalls, to try and get that authenticity back of some of the gear that they were using. And I think Jack Bruce was using a bass that he hadn't used for a long time, and they just didn't sound good. It just wasn't working.
That's interesting. Yeah. Because of course he played SG, didn't he, in Cream?
Yeah,
he played an SG in Cream, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's right. And he has an SG called The Fool. I don't know why it's called The Fool. I just remember that. It's just called. I think it was called The Fool.
But I do remember at the time, 2005, when that was released. I do remember, and the internet was sort of just taking off a little bit then. You didn't have social media. A lot of the conversations we were having were on email forum groups, if you guys remember them,
Yes.
But I do remember a few guys making a comment about, why is he not using a Les Paul and Marshalls, and yeah.
Well, it's funny. Yes, that's weird, isn't it? Because obviously you'd go, what did I use in Cream? Let's go and get that again. SG Les Paul, pretty much. Yeah. And when he tried it in 2005, it just didn't work. Is it, so that's really interesting. That so he had to go back and get because he plays the Strat, doesn't he? He plays the Strat through that Cream revival.
Yep.
Reunion stuff, doesn't he? Yeah. Somehow made it work better. That's funny, isn't it? That's weird. Was it the Strat through Marshalls?
No, he's playing his Fenders, his modified Fenders.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's funny. I can think you can get a more authentic sound with modified Fenders, and I suppose they all got the same root, but the gear you used originally to do it. Because you'd think, if you went back to the original gear, it would be there, wouldn't it? Same guy, same fingers, same kit. You'd think that would be bang on, wouldn't you?
Wouldn't it be great to listen to some of the sound clips, to hear it yourself? But and there were a couple of cynical comments made by some people saying, "Oh, well, he doesn't have a signature Les Paul, and so anything that he does with Cream You know, he's got a signature Strat, so that'll be 50,000 Strats sold. You know, but you have to take them at their word. Clapton is on record saying that they tried it and it didn't sound good.
And it didn't sound good. No, that's really interesting, isn't it? Because
Yep.
you know we all think that and the way the way to a sound, the majority of a sound that you want to get from somebody is what gear did they use?
Yeah.
Didn't they? It doesn't matter who it is, but how does Clapton get that brown sound? When you wind the tone off and you've got a Marshall and you've got an SG, whatever, and you want that yard, the John Mayall's Bluesbreaker sound. So you need a Les Paul, you need a Marshall JCM 50, whatever it is, and you cranked up, and that's the sound you get, and that's very interesting. That I wonder if it's that after 40 years later, having played thousands of gigs, that the hearing goes a bit, and then what you hear is different to what you heard in 1968. 40 years later, the hearing is slightly different. I wonder if that has any effect. Yeah. Because I could see that when you turn it, what you heard in 1968 with kind of fresh young ears, and I'm sure that all those guys, have got some hearing damage of some kind, Well, when you get to your 60s, your hearing deteriorates. That's, a fact of life as well. That you put in the old stuff and you go, it didn't sound like it used to, and whether that's actually about your ears, not about, not about actually what you're hearing, and it's affected by it being, all those other external factors.
Yeah, Dave's saying that Clapton where he is blues through, right? Absolutely. There's a famous quote where Clapton says, Dave, that when you hand him a guitar, the first thing he's going to do automatically is play the blues. So,
yes, that's true. Yeah. Is that yes? Is that reference to our earlier conversation about not associated with rock and roll at all?
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, have you seen? There's a little video where he gets. Is it Fender? I can't remember. It must be Fender. Fender made some replica Strats, and he's just sitting in a room, and he's like, and he gets someone. He goes, oh yeah, and and he plugs it in, and he goes, I'm gonna have to turn up it. It's straight. Just plays the blues.
Oh, that's when they did that.
Is it the
Brownie,
George Harrison ones or something? Brownie, yeah.
Yeah, and he says, it might get a little bit loud here, guys, and he turns up the Fender.
He turns it up, cranks up his Fender, whatever he's got. Was it a Bluesbreaker or something? No, not a. Was it a Hot Rod? Was it a Deluxe Fender Deluxe? No,
that's probably a signature one.
Tweed one. Yeah. Yes. But I mean, but that's really interesting. I think that it didn't sound like it did in 2005. It didn't sound right. After 40 years of playing Fenders, he had to go and play Fenders.
Hey, Johnny, thank you for popping in and saying good day to Simon and I.
Johnny Bean, how you doing?
Hey,
I hope you're good. Yeah.
After midnight here, good on you.
Yes, it is. Well after midnight in the quarter past 12, I think in the Dual Showmans, is it, Gussie? Yeah. Are they customized Dual Showmans? I guess they probably are.
Oh yeah. There's an English guy. There's an English guy that does a lot of mods on his amps.
12:13. There we are. See. Well, thanks for dropping in, Johnny. It's very cool of you.
Appreciate it, Johnny. So what's your next two songs there, buddy?
It's okay. So I've got next one, Crossroads.
Awesome.
I love as well. Robert Johnson song, and Rambling on My Mind, another
what
blues
version?
Classic. Well, again, I've not picked out particular versions. I've just picked out, I think it's on there. I think Just One Night it's on that as well. It's a really good version. But I think he's been pretty much a staple of his live show for ages. So take your pick, really.
Beastie Was Here's got a very interesting version.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The standout for me, though, Simon, will always be that we discussed it last week. The Bluesbreaker album. His singing debut,
isn't it? Yeah, his singing debut. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Yeah. So that's a really good version as well. And I think getting his singing voice kind of going. As I said, I think he's probably underrated as a singer. He's managed to do a really good job at it, having not been the singer in his early bands. But no, so I think it's a great song. It's a classic blues song. They're both classic blues songs. Very rooted in what Clapton does. As a musician and where he is as a person, Mr. Bluesman.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I love that kind of fiery cream version as well. It's right up there. Young guys thrashing it out and making something new out of it and things. Making that sort of blues rock template, much as anybody else.
Well, I couldn't play the lead for years, but I could play along with it. I still can't play the lead.
You can play something that approximates it.
Yeah. Do you think he distances himself from the Blues Breaker days? Well, he pays tribute to it, Dave. Simon and I discussed it last week. He didn't pay enough respect to the time that he spent with John Mayall, and it's in his biography, and he went back and renegotiated a lot of that history, and I suppose that came through his sobriety, where he looked back at his past, Simon, and went back and paid respect to it. He didn't like it when people said to him, "Hey man, that album was a great album. It's fantastic, it's brilliant. We love the tones." And he sort of shrugged people off when people would say that, and people were getting upset by that attitude. But now when people say it, he goes, "Well, I appreciate it. Yes, that does have an important place in rock and roll history."
That's the classic thing, isn't it? About how an artist views their work, and then how we as fans, whatever, view people's work. And how many times have you been to gigs and stuff, and afterwards they I mean, I've been to lots of gigs, lots of they go, "Well, that wasn't a very good gig," and you're thinking, you should have stood in the audience, it was bloody marvelous, and I don't think that they necessarily have a 2020 vision view of their work. Even in hindsight, the things that they don't, that was terrible, we just threw it together, or we just whatever, it was very badly recorded, or and actually we don't take any of that into account. We just like the things I like are the things I like. And I think that that, as I say, those two completely different views of somebody's career and what they did in particular points. We think everybody says the Blues Breaker album was a really great album. It defines that genre. It started off that blues rock genre.
Sure.
Eric, you can't get away from it, mate. Face facts.
Yeah.
And the fact that your insider's view of it is a bit, well, it was a bit, and kind of, I don't see what all the fuss about, or whatever, yeah, all right, that's your view of it. But, that's nobody else's view of it, really. And I think it's interesting that Gussie, I agree. I mean, I think that he's equivocal about success, Eric, all the time. He's equivocal about quite a lot of things, really, isn't he? The Clapton is God thing is good and indeed bad, isn't it? It's really cool that somebody write it on the wall, but then you've got to live up to something, haven't you? And that's quite difficult, probably. Which is why he stopped doing it after Cream, didn't he? Went and did that much more kind of laid back kind of rock stuff, because to get away with it, to get away from it a bit. But yeah, I think that and probably in some ways our view of his career is more valid than his is, because it's an external view. It's just about what we feel about it, what we hear, without any luggage about how it was created, what was done, and the process that was done. We have no view of that. We just get the record, put it on, and we like it.
Absolutely.
So I think they're two opposing views of stuff. So anyway, those are my next two. What are your next two?
I had to pick "Had to Cry Today," the Blind Faith version on that album, the only Blind Faith album, and you know, I seriously, Simon, didn't really pay much attention to that song till about 2010, 2011, quite late in my life, and the reason why I never focused on that album at all until I started getting back into music, and then you've got to play these albums, and that whole album's fantastic. It's brilliant, but Had to Cry Today with Steve Winwood, and again, that what I love about that album is that whole backstory with Eric wanting to hang out with Stevie, and they were great mates, and then but getting that horrible feeling every time Ginger walked into the room that they had, that he had when he was in Cream, and he would physically, and he describes this. This isn't me, he would physically. So that's why I'm hanging out to watch that Ginger Baker film, because I want to see what Ginger actually has to say.
There's some great great footage of Blind Faith playing, and there's a funny story about I won't spoil it, but
okay,
about it, it's but I agree, that kind of because I think he's a very difficult man, Ginger Baker, to deal with, and I suppose if you've got Jack Bruce Yig enough, at least there's someone to fight back, if you know what I mean. But
well,
can you imagine?
I read somewhere like he's a tall guy, isn't he? He's over 6 feet, isn't he? And he would lean into people,
imposing.
Yeah, he'd impose himself on
Looming.
people when he was having a conversation with you. Yeah. And I suppose you English guys...
And impose yourself when he was playing drums.
He'd get close enough to give you or threaten to give you a Liverpool kiss.
I think it's Glasgow kiss, actually.
A Glasgow kiss. Oh, well, Glasgow. That's two. That's two then, isn't it?
Two, yeah. God, I feel dizzy just doing it.
Yeah. So,
Glasgow kiss.
Blind Faith. I'm
just thinking that. Can you imagine? Steve Winwood is what, 19?
Yep.
In Blind Faith, 19 years old. I just find that kind of staggering, really.
And what's really interesting about Steve Winwood is that he was the only guy out of that whole British blues scene that was fully multi-instrumentalist, that could read music. You had a couple of guys that were close to him. You had like Brian Jones, who could pick up and have an ear for it, but he wasn't fully trained. Steve Winwood could compose and score.
Well, there are a strain of those people, like John Paul Jones. John Paul Jones's father was a choir master and stuff, and a music teacher. So John Paul Jones, for instance, had a grounding in writing music and an understanding of it. I think what's he called, the guy Matthew Fisher from Procol Harum. The other keyboard player besides Gary Brooker.
I'm comparing him to like Clapton, Keith Richards.
Oh, sure, no, completely,
yes,
yeah.
The without being disrespectful, the common, British guys.
I know what you mean. Yes, yes, the two strands. Yes, the people who picked it up from records and from having good ears, and completely. Yes. It's sorry, it just occurred to me that I could think of two or three people who had in that world who also had formal musical education. Rick Wakeman, of course, as well.
Yes,
the person who had formal musical qualifications and so I think there's even then there's still those dual strands of the guys who picked it up intuitively, good ears, whatever, and then there's the people who who'd learned.
And my next song is "Kind-Hearted Woman Blues" off the famous Robert Johnson album that he did in what
Oh, the
2004.
2014, 13, 12. Yes, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. Was
Love
that
that
well
album.
received? Was it well received, that album? Was it? Was it?
Yeah. It was well received, and it was from like again, it was another breath of wind for him to go around and tour and perform a lot of these
Just
songs.
him and acoustic guitar. Did it have band on it much? Did
They
it have
had a
band on
band.
it?
That's where he had that Texan Doyle Bramhill was playing the guitar. Was the
Oh, okay.
second guitar.
Donald Brown Hall the third. Yeah,
And
yeah.
the great thing about that album too is that they're all playing live, Simon.
Right. Yeah. Is that Glyn Johns? Did Glyn Johns produce it? No,
I'm not
top of
sure.
my head.
I'm not sure who the producer is. But the DVD version, you can get the DVD version, which is
Yeah.
on the sessions for Robert J, and it's just it's phenomenal. It's again, you don't know how often they rehearse these songs, but you get the impression that there wasn't much rehearsal. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're into it.
What? Because he'd played those songs so much that he knew pretty much, and then it's just follow me, chaps.
Yeah. Well, it's a hot band. It's a hot band he's playing with. Doyle Bramhill, Nathan East, Steve Gadd,
Yeah.
Billy Preston, Chris Stanton. Produced
Chris
by
Stanton,
Simon
yeah.
Climie.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. Okay. Simon Climie. Yeah. Do you know who Simon Climie is?
Climie Fisher.
Climie Fisher. Yeah, from the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes, of course. Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff with Eric Clapton. Sort of.
Yeah. So what a
Yes, I'd
tight
forgotten
band.
that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Chris Stanton's played with him for eons. I mean,
Oh,
when I saw him in '81, Chris Stainton was playing the piano.
yeah.
With him there,
Yeah.
him and Gary Brooker from Procol
Yeah.
Harum.
Yeah. Phenomenal.
Yeah, God, yes, I forgot. Yeah, yes, I'd forgotten that as a thing. But yeah, Chris Stainton, one of those sort of lines that goes through all his stuff, or lots of it, which is very cool.
What's your next two, buddy?
Right, okay. Number seven. Number seven. I've got San Francisco Bay Blues from the Unplugged sessions,
Awesome.
which I love as well. And I love the fact that he did the song. Him and Paul McCartney did the same song, two different ways, and kind of. But yeah, I love that kind of fairly straightforward strum along thing. Yeah, really good. I think that Unplugged album was really good. I think the reimagining of Layla is a fantastic version of it. Not going for the same thing at all. Completely reorganizing it into almost a completely different song. I think that's a fantastic, way of doing it. But yeah, San Francisco Bay Blues, which I really like, just kind of, sort of rollicking kind of roll along beat that I think is really cool. And Bad Love from Bad Love. Principally because I just love the riff in the middle, I love that, and I think he's, pretty passionate playing on it and stuff like that. I think it's it's just one of those songs you go, and I kind of, as I say, kind of up there. I think it's probably his last great song that kind of, was a hit and kind of, people would recognise.
Well, that was close to being on my list, but I did not pick it.
Good. But the interesting thing is, I've obviously had a little read of it. Apparently, it was a formula song. They wanted to write something like Layla. So him and Mick Jones, the guy from Foreigner, and so he kind of wrote a song, a bit of a, not what he normally does, but he wrote a kind of formula song, in a sense, about something, about being happily in love with a woman. After
people would watch if you haven't seen the DVD. I prefer watching the DVD, Simon, of the Unplugged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's I prefer watching that than listening to it, because again you just get a full appreciation of how bloody good he is playing those songs.
Yes, completely, yeah. So I'd say apparently it has a bit from. Is that is that from Badge?
Well, they reckon it is. It's the same. It's a similar, and then it
It's a
gets into
similar sort
that,
of riff, is it? Yeah,
that great guitar solo.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just brilliant.
yeah. Yes, I wasn't sure whether I could actually figure that. It sort of did to me, and then sort of I don't really know, but I like those sort of things. I like that sort of sort of those little bits of tidbits that you find out about particular songs. So yeah, so I like that song, and as I say, because I think the riffs in it are really good. Especially that one I really like. And so yeah, those are my next two. What about your next two?
We discussed this song a little bit last week. The Core from Ocean 461 Boulevard.
461 Ocean Boulevard. Yeah.
I just the woman singing. I forget what's her name.
Yvonne Elliman.
Yvonne Elliman, who he was having a bit of a romp with. And that comes through that album. That happiness. It's just brilliant. I just that's a cruising song for me. When you cruise along, that I
Windows down.
Just love that song. Love it.
Sunshine. Yeah. Oh, I could see that. Yeah, that's a great record, isn't it? I mean, 461 Ocean Boulevard. Is
well, it's a debut of sorts too, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Post all that sort of crazy blues stuff. Kind of to do much more of a sort of much more laid back, much more integrated band thing. Yeah, really good. Yeah. I think it's a great record. I Shot the Sheriff, of course, as well.
Yeah, and I've also picked Have You Ever Loved a Woman, the Layla version.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just the guitaring again. The guitaring.
Yeah.
Is
Dwayne Norman on? Is Dwayne Norman on that, or did he come after?
Yes.
Yeah, you see.
Yeah.
Whipping post. Did you ever go to gigs in the 70s where people shouted that out?
Yeah. Well, you try shouting that out now, people, you get into trouble. Whipping post.
Oh, good. I may try to do it. I don't know. Yes. What's the last gig I went to? Yeah. I went to yes, my friend Chris Buck played. So he probably would know what it was. I like the fact that Frank Zappa made his band learn it, so that if anyone shouted out, they could actually do it.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a laugh. But,
just a phenomenal song, Simon.
Dwayne Norman, great.
Woman, again, Clapton paying respect to the music heritage that he comes from.
Yeah. And fantastic, and that band was amazing.
A Fender Stratocaster played into a little Fender Champ.
Was it a Fender Champ? Was it? Yeah. It's funny that is it. All those records that you get, and what they basically did was get a small amp and turn it up.
Yeah.
In a room, and it's not. I'm in this room with a load of Marshalls turned up, taking out the back walls of everything. Yeah, it is interesting, that's how they recorded. Get a little amp, plug into it, turn it up, get a tone, get the microphone in the right place.
Yeah.
Back a bit, and and then it'll sound great because you can, And of course, in those days when you recorded, that's the sound you got. You couldn't mess around with it too much because you didn't have plugins and blah de blah de blah to make it. You couldn't add in the effects post recording or anything like that. So it's what you played is what you got.
You had to be pretty good, didn't you? You had to be pretty sharp, both as the musician, but also the engineer and the producer. To cut the tapes. And we've watched DVDs where they're talking about how they have to do
splicing.
that.
Yeah. I've done that. Yeah,
and they've made mistakes, and they've had to go and do it again. And the musician's been upset with them, saying, "But we've done it 50 times."
One more, just one more. I'll
Please,
drop you in. I'll drop you in. No, really.
please, Eric.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I find that yes, yeah, but yes, I mean, I've done some little bits of that, and I can remember, cutting out bits of tape, and splicing them together. You end up with a piece of tape with a load of white stuff on the back where you've stuck it all together like a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see a computer might be easier to do it, but I think that for me, all those great records were made with the with the boundaries of the technology. The boundaries of technology are very tight, very small. So you made great records within those boundaries. Whereas now you can do, you can have 1,000 tracks, you can put anything on anything, change anything to anything. Is it any better? No, it isn't. It's different, but certainly no better. Than actually being constrained by the tech. I think great creativity comes from constraint, not from absolute freedom. In a sense, the Beatles recording Sergeant Pepper on, 2 4 tracks, strung together, and all of that stuff. That record is such a great record because of it, the constraints put on it, because they didn't have 5,000 tracks.
But
So you have to
also
find ways.
to Simon, that a producer puts on a band too. How many times have we've read or heard where an artist is talking about how they wanted to go and do this, but the producer said no, come back. Yeah,
yeah, come over here, produce with vision and with,
yeah.
to sit there and saying, not quite right, do it again, do this, no, completely, yeah, and whereas now it's for a lot of it's become a sort of computer cut up job, cut and paste, thing, that I think is technologically, I completely see where that's gone, and technologically, I've been in that position. I've recorded comparatively recently on, using, where you can adjust and you can change, you can move things around and stuff like that, and it certainly makes the engineers and the producer's life a lot easier, because you only need to get a guitarist to play a phrase once, perfect phrase once, copy it, for 3 minutes, bingo, you have
Well,
the perfect phrase.
that's what
Sadly,
Dowd said about Dwayne Allman. He said Dwayne Allman would only ever do 1 or 2 cuts. It was that good.
yeah, and yeah, just completely, I mean, and all those. I mean, I was listening to completely at a tangent, but doesn't matter, about a program about Dusty Springfield.
Yes.
Dusty Springfield.
Yeah.
Well, this is serious. She used to record her vocals a syllable at a time.
You're
Not
joking.
even a word. No, she'd go and she'd sing a syllable, and then she'd stop, and then she'd
Why?
sing another syllable. Oh my god!
Why?
Because that's the way she did it. That was the way that she did it. That's
And
completely
our producers had to
bonkers.
get away with it.
Yeah. With Dusty Springfield, But yeah, a syllable at a time.
I bet you the Pet Shop Boys wouldn't let her do that.
No, they did. No, they did. That was Neil Tennant.
Really?
Neil Tennant, the great Neil Tennant, saying, when we recorded with Dusty Springfield, he said she would record the vocals a syllable, and he said a syllable, not a word, a syllable at a time. He was very specific, hilariously specific about it. He said, take forever.
Wow.
Take about 3 weeks to get the first line done. But, you could see that, and all sorts of stuff like, it's bizarre. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent, but of what people did, what people do.
That stuff that they did in the mid 1980s, man, that was hot. That was popular.
Yeah. That was a particular thing. I'm not, but I admire the sort of the, the creativity and the art behind it. I think those two guys, Pet Shop Boys, doing that stuff is it's not the blues, but it's no less valid, in its own particular field. Doing that kind of pop with an art kind of feel, trying to make it, good. I have no issues with that at all.
Gussie's just making a quick note here about GarageBand. I've recorded on GarageBand too,
I
Gussie,
was splitting tracks yesterday. Blimey, Gussie, well done.
and it is a little bit complicated. You're right, but yeah, I don't do any splitting or any cutting or pasting. You know, if Carl and I are just getting together, we just record and just sit back and listen. So yeah, I don't know how difficult it is. I suspect you have to be pretty savvy, computer savvy.
Actually, it's not. I don't know. Have you used? Whoever used Audacity?
Yes.
You know, Audacity. Well, it's pretty. You know, in Audacity you could do loads of cutting. I've done quite a lot of that, cutting and pasting things and stuff. You know, and kind of zooming into a track and kind of taking out little gaps and things like that. And you know, you know, just kind of messing about. I don't think it's. Again, it becomes a computer thing. You know, you have to think about it as as if you're editing something on a computer.
Simon,
And it doesn't matter.
I just want to do a quick shout out to Unboxing and Review because he left
Yes, hi.
a nice couple of comments about a show that we did a week ago. So thanks for joining us.
Oh, cool. Hi, Unboxing and Review. Great name, yes.
It was easy for me to do a
that's
shout
what you
out
do.
and type his name.
Yes, yeah, that happens quite a lot, doesn't it? Yes. I sometimes think, how do you know, at thrash metal and fun riffs kind of thing. It's like kind of all in capitals. I mean, on an iPad, it's a complete thing. Every time there's about 94 keystrokes to get to the end of that. Can you not just be called Eric? That would be great. You know, be funny.
I'm going to go back over the next couple of days and listen to some of that stuff with Dusty and just appreciate it for being one syllable at a time, Simon.
One syllable at a time. Completely bonkers. I mean, you know, I love that kind of, you know, the bonkersness of recording a syllable at a time.
What's your last?
And she would literally. Okay, right. Last two songs. White Room by Cream, of course, and Sunshine of Your Love. Well, you already talked about Sunshine of Your Love, you already picked it, but White Room as well. I just, you know, like it as a song, especially with that kind of, it's got the wah wah thing on it as well, isn't it? Wow. That kind of descending guitar riff, yeah,
that
really
would have
good.
been one of the first, top 10 songs that had the wah. Hendrix was
probably,
using the wah.
A bit later, yeah, 67, yeah, I suppose about the same sort of time, certainly. But so yeah, as you know, they're part of my kind of, you know, growing up. Really, I remember White Room and, you know, the Cream songs. You know, I was only about 10, but 9 or 10, but you still remember them singing on Top of the Pops, and yeah, you know, that's my first earliest memory, probably what I think of when I'm wah wah, you know, using that wah wah pedal kind of thing. I think of Hendrix being a bit later, the Voodoo Child thing, you know, kind of thing, which I think of as being a bit later than that. I'm sure other people are using a wah, and I haven't noticed, but
I would say that would probably be the first song that we had the wah. That of some
sort of identifiable.
Some identifiable riff.
Yeah. Which I think is I can't think of particularly many others from that early in the that early that had it on. You know, wow.
He does a really hot version on the 24 Nights DVD.
Oh right, yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Yes, yeah. He's got a catalogue to pick from, hasn't he? Which is tremendous. Yeah. But
what I like about him though is that you know, you sit back and we've got the DVDs and we've got YouTube. We can sit back and you hear about some of the bad gigs that he did during the 70s when he was on the booze, but you can see he's trying to deliver something for the money that people have paid.
Yeah. It's interesting. I saw him in '81, you know, and he must have still been drinking by then. He was great. He was really good, you know. I think I've got a cassette of it somewhere. Wow. I was digging out. It was only done. I went with my I was working in a record shop in '81, and I went with my boss, who's a local musician, Tony, and he recorded it on a little kind of little beatbox, little sort of cassette recorder like that. Just took it in, recorded it. I'm sure it's not very good. I've got it in my box. I must dig it out and see if it sounds anything like
I
useful
saw
or
it
not.
in 2008, and I was gobsmacked. I just sat there and just looked at him.
Yeah. Yes, yes. There's a lot to be said for being sober and straight, isn't there? Just playing properly and kind of dealing with it. Yeah, no, completely. So anyway, that was my 10. I hilariously had, in my top 10, I actually had 14. Because I couldn't decide, You'll notice I haven't picked Layla in my top 10.
Yeah.
Particularly.
Well.
I think that's just over familiarization more than anything else. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I've picked my last two songs, Have You Heard, which is the Beano album. That guitar solo is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And again, Forever Man. Again, that has a connection for me, being a young kid, hearing that album. The solo was the single off what's the album? Holy cow, I can't remember the album. The album that came out in the early 1980s, and that guitar solo.
Journeyman.
No, before no. Not Back to the Future. All these bloody albums in our head. Hold on, we won't go any further until we can identify the album with Forever Man. You'll know it.
Yeah. I'm like you. It's memory.
back. Something back.
Backless. No. Just One Night, Another Ticket, Money and Cigarettes, Behind the Sun, August, Homeboy, Journeyman. Is it Behind the Sun? Let me have a look.
Forever Man, yeah, Behind the Sun, which came out in '85. She's Waiting's another song that's on there. But right. Yeah, that album, Forever Man, just hearing that solo, short, sweet, on fire, phenomenal.
Yeah, something to be said for just a short, snappy, just get it solo, isn't it? To lots of the time, 8 bars will do it fine.
But like you, Simon, today I culled a few. Like I didn't pick Layla on purpose, because Layla to me, and I mean this respectfully.
Yeah.
I listen to Layla when I listen to the album, Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. In that context, it's great. But just listening to Layla, when that song comes on the radio, I switch the radio off, because I'm just Layla'd out.
Yes, it's over familiarity. What I was saying just now, there's over familiarization with the song. Really, it's not a great song. It's just that I've heard it a billion times, and I probably wouldn't pick it in my top 10 simply because, not that it's not a great song. It's just over familiarization with it, really.
And one notable exception too, I suppose, Simon, and I noticed you didn't pick it, is Tears in Heaven.
No, I didn't. I understand where it comes from as a song. I understand, that it's an expression of his grief for his son and stuff. And I'm equivocal about it as a song. Purely on an emotional level, do I particularly like it? There are a lot of songs I like before it. I'm not taking away from its meaning to him and what he did. And Arvin's joined. Hi, Arvin. How you doing? Hope you're awesome. Good. Yeah. So I feel that's just a person, my personal view of it is, not devaluing the song, as I say, and its emotional use for him, to get his grief out and all of that. It's just not really, my thing particularly. I would pick other songs before it.
Yeah, Are you the same? I agree with you. It's a radio song. Yeah. I'm going to echo exactly everything that you've said. Yes, it's got a tragic story to it, and I suppose when we discuss some albums around that period, we'll probably talk about the events that led up to that
Yeah,
song.
completely. Yeah,
But as a song, um, um, I'd skip it, and I'm glad you didn't pick it.
yeah. No. Well, as you can see, I haven't. I'm not. I don't do it on sentimental grounds. I do it on what I like grounds, and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And so I mean, for instance, like a couple I did, a couple I did. I nearly picked "For Your Love," for instance, which is not a sort of Eric Clapton blues thing, but it's a great song.
It's a great
The
song.
guy I was talking about, the guy talking about, Tony, that was a local musician, my boss in the record shop. He had a little three piece, and they used to play. It's a great version of it, with a solo and all sorts of stuff, and and it kind of got whizzy at the end and things. So I have very fond memories of that as a song, and I think it's regardless. I know Eric didn't like it, but I still think it's a great song, and I like it as well. My favourite thing Badge was another one that
Phenomenal.
I yeah, it's a phenomenal song. Apparently, do you know why it's called Badge? This has made me laugh. The reason I have to say it is because apparently on George Harrison, George Harrison wrote it,
Yes.
co-wrote it. Yeah. Well, apparently on the lyric sheet, Eric Clapton misread bridge for badge. So obviously George had written bridge on it, and he misread it for badge. So it became badge. But
Oh,
apparently, the other thing I read about it was that it's some people saying that it's the chords of the song, which it isn't the chords of the song, but BADGE. It's not the chords of the song, but I like the fact that I like that sort of thing, misreading bridge for badge. That's a lovely idea. And so those are two I left. And later I did often, and Tales of Brave Ulysses as well, which I particularly like. As Gussie Roll said it, and these records produced by Felix Pappalardi. Do you know who Felix Pappalardi is?
yeah. It's a
The
shame.
bass player from Mountain.
It's a shame
Les,
that he died early because he could have gone on
yeah,
some
yeah,
some great
great
stuff.
musician, and yeah,
But
interesting
all
guy.
credit to Ermit to realise to
Ahmed
put
Sertigan.
him together with Cream to say, mate, do something with
Yeah.
guys.
And Tom Dowd as well, the great Tom Dowd, engineering it. And obviously Tom Dowd is a thread in Clapton's career as well, isn't he? Going through.
But
Didn't he do 461 Ocean Boulevard?
Spoonful was a toss up too. It was either Spoonful or Crossroads
Yeah,
for me.
indeed. Yeah, yes, kind of two things of the same, two sides of the same coin, really, aren't they?
I'm glad you didn't pick Tulsa Time.
I can't. I do like it, but that's a JJ Cale thing, isn't it? That's the JJ Cale thing. Williams has got a JJ Cale thing, sir.
Look,
Stop that now.
it's on Just One Night, and it's very good. It's good
fun.
live. I think he does that song better live than he does on
record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Americans
I would
loved
agree with
it.
that.
They loved it. It was a phenomenal song. It was a hit for him.
Yeah. No, completely. I'm kind of getting that laid back, kind of relaxed, sort of, as you say, it's that kind of window down, roof off, cruising in the sunshine, isn't it? Living on Tulsa time. That's one thing I was watching the other day with him doing the version with Sheryl Crow and Derek Trucks and all sorts of people.
Yeah.
Albert Lee.
Yeah.
They're all taking in turns to take a solo and stuff. And it's good fun. I think it's Crossroads. At Crossroads, one of those Crossroads festivals that he does. Yeah. But so I guess because I didn't pick Tulsa Time. the JJKL vibe going too far.
Lay down, Sally.
No,
I'm sorry.
Wonderful Tonight is.
No,
They're fine, but I mean, I've played like Wonderful Tonight.
if you're a
It's
young guy and you bring a girl home, play Wonderful Tonight. That's
yeah,
about,
you'd be great. You'd be on.
that's about it.
Yeah. So no, I didn't pick that either.
No, I'm
Not
glad you did.
not in my top 14.
Oh my gosh, it's been good chatting with you,
Like
buddy.
like I said earlier, here's my top 10, straight into number 14. Wait a minute. Which I think is a lovely idea. Okay, so what are we going to discuss next week?
I don't know. Have we got any
What's
suggestions?
next week's topic?
Got any suggestions in the chat? I'd love to talk about Layla, that album Layla, at some stage.
Well, let's talk about Layla then.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Let's do Layla and the sort of yeah. Because
so what do you want to talk about?
That'd be fantastic.
Everything that's leading up to it.
Yeah, and we can get into some of the the details of the songs and how they're recorded and because there's a story there, isn't it? There's a big story there about getting that band together and stuff and recording it. Yes, I think that sounds great. And we have a small problem next week. Is I'm going to be in Italy.
That's correct.
I am going to be in Italy.
Correct.
Now, I don't know whether I can. I'm not sure whether I can do it from Italy or not.
No, you can't, because I've made an appointment on that day as well.
There. Oh well, that's fine. So good.
So what we'll do though is you need to talk about your trip too. So.
Oh yes, the week after we'll do my week in Italy.
So we'll talk about your week in Italy, and then the week after that we'll do the Layla show.
Okay. Yeah. All right then. Good. Yep. Now I'll let the next 3 weeks organised.
There's also one, before I go, one notable exception that I thought seriously about including, and that was It's Too Late. The live version that the Derek and the Dominoes did on the Johnny Cash show.
Oh, right.
It's the only live footage we have of that band.
Derek and the Dominoes. Yeah. Oh, yes. I could see why you would want to pick that because, I'll go and look at it. I've not seen it, so I'll go and have a look at that.
So Gussie's saying Italy, very nice place, Simon. Enjoy. Absolutely.
I am going to enjoy. Gussie, I'm going on a week's guitar breaks holiday, just playing guitar with a couple of about 15 other people and stuff. It'll be 5 days and a couple of pro guitarists. Ariel Posen, who's a Canadian guitar player, who I'd recommend. He's a fantastic guitarist.
Awesome.
He brought out a sort of 4-track live album that he did, live in a studio album. It sounds. I got it on vinyl. It sounds phenomenal. What's fantastic about him is I posted it on my Facebook. With it signed. What's astonishing about him, and you particularly notice it, I was telling people, is the way that he will start. So, especially if you watch him live, he'll start something, and he'll be like, and you'd be thinking, this is not really feeling it. Not really, it's all a bit angular and all a bit, and all of a sudden he'll get the groove. And it's like something comes into focus and off he'll go, But that thing about he'll just step off the cliff and just start playing, and he doesn't care if there's a bum note or he's he'll find it and then find the groove and he'll just play. I admire that courage. I don't have it, but so it's him, and we've got another guitar player called Matt Schofield as well. Who's another.
Oh, I know Matt Schofield. Wow.
Yeah, well, he's going to be there. Yeah. So that should be pretty cool as well.
For the feedback for the.
Don't worry, I'll be taking plenty of photographs and get some footage as well of us. But normally they do a gig. There's a bar in the village where we are, and we did a gig last year. Hopefully we'll do a gig this year as well, playing. So get a chance to have a laugh doing that with Italian background, and yeah, fantastic fun.
Awesome. Do you want to do a shout out to the guys, Simon, before we knock off?
Yeah, let's thanks to Gussie, Arvin. I hope you're all right, mate. Keep going, and Gussie, thanks for dropping in. And we've had who else have we had? We've had unboxing a review. Thanks for coming. That's really good. And Wednesday store. Thanks for being the moderator, Johnny Bean. And up the top we had the mighty Quentin.
and JC Smith's just jumped in to say g'day.
Mr. Smith, how are you? I hope it's going well, Carl. Excellent.
All right, so we'll catch you guys not next week, the week
in 2
after,
weeks.
for Simon's
Fantastic.
feedback.
My feedback on Italy. Why not?
Awesome. Cheers, guys.
Take care, guys. See you in 2 weeks.